So we made a couple of slides demonstrating process of making engine blocks. Engine block manufacturing consists two distinct steps. First is casting, making a block, and then the second one is machining, in which we basically make final manufacturing features. So we are trying to demonstrate for each of these processes what are inputs and outputs for each step. So this is a generic picture that we came this week that demonstrates that we do have a manufacturing process. We call it here is step. Step has input workpiece, has output workpiece. In order to make manufacturing process work, we need to have a machine that provides energy, which is transferred to tool, which actually provides shape that makes feature of our workpiece. Additionally, we need to have a fixture which constrains motion of workpiece during the process. Many of these steps put together make operation, and then several operations make our manufacturing process. So first step is casting. Casting is essentially a manufacturing process that from liquid metal makes solid objects with different shapes. We start with billet of metal. We heat it in an oven, in a furnace, actually a little bit more complicated, to get slug of molten metal, which is usually carried in a what's the name? I forgot what's the name in slide, but
Furnace?
no, we are carrying it. Actually, we have slides. So in a bowl, similar to bowl, on one side, and then we have a mold of our final engine block, shaped as a permanent object in which we are going to pour molten metal. So when we put them together, we pour molten metal. It actually fills in a cavity inside mold, and then we let it cool for a while to room temperature. So this cooling solidification process takes some time, and during that period we have a mold with molten metal. In the end, mold is designed such that we can open it in the end and then get cast block. This is block with the final overall shape, but precise features for running engine are not done. It's just cast block. We take this block into different shop. So this was foundry or casting shop, and we take it to machining shop, and we do machining. Share two slides.
No, the cast block
So
becomes an engine block. Yeah. Through the process of transportation, one and the same solid object, an object in BFO terms, undergoes a transition from being a cast block to an engine block. It doesn't change in any way. It plays a different role, if you like.
Yeah.
And the engine block is now the starting point for the machining process.
Thank you, Larry. So, on engine block, there are quite many processes. To illustrate this process, we selected few major steps, if you will. Milling process, boring. Milling is actually milling of face of engine block, boring of engine bore, getting shape, drilling small holes for putting, what's the name of that in English? It's not lid.
Fasteners?
No, fasteners. On top of block there is, I don't remember, head of block of engines. And then finally we do a honing operation of the same board to final dimensions, very precise. Point here is that these three first steps, milling, boring, and drilling, are done on one machine. We call this milling operation. And then last step is done on honing. Step is done on separate machine, honing machine. Reason being that to get different precise tolerances on this board, we have machine has to be higher precision. So for each of these, we performed an analysis according to our first slide, what are inputs and outputs, and we go step by step in a our face disappeared. Is that milling?
Yeah.
So this, no, this is overview of milling outline. So milling has 3 steps: milling process, boring, and drilling. And milling operation has input engine block and output engine block. I think we have to put here in the end. This should come in the end. There are 3 steps going, and we do outline. So after that, we do have milling process. In milling process, we make new face on our engine block. We remove portion of material in form of chips. And we start with cast block and we get new engine block. So we do have a process, 1 input and outputs. And from my learning, so new face is output of a process, milling process, while portion of material has, by milling process, it has output of portion removed material. We decided to do different relations because if milling process is interrupted in any way, face is not completed, but there is a portion of removed material. First step, second step is boring of engine bore. Similarly, we start with engine block and we make engine bore which is a site in engine block. Of course, we remove some material during that process. Next step is drilling. Hole that we drill is output of the drilling hole, and then every drilling process makes some more chips. As output, an engine block is essentially, you should hear hole is site.
Yeah.
We don't have site in engine block. Next step is honing. And now for machining processes, procedure repeats. So we do have in honing process, final phase of engine bore is output of honing process, and that final engine bore with final specification tolerance is output. Few more chips, not many, but few more are also removed, and then this phase becomes new phase boundary of engine block. Do you have anything else? I don't think so. And put them together, we get process of making simplified. I should say here simplified process of making engine block, and this is also includes machining. Point here to make is we do have 4 processes or 4 steps. Each of them has inputs and outputs, and then 3 of them are done on one operation, 4th one is done on different operation, and all of them together make a process to make complete engine block.
And I will just make one further remark. So the cast block and the engine block are the same BFO object, the same material entity, which undergoes various kinds of changes, acquires new features, it acquires new holes, faces, but it's always the same object. And similarly, the engine bore and the final refined, smoothed out engine bore with much finer tolerances, they are the same hole. So holes are continuants in BFO just as objects are continuants in BFO. And continuants can undergo different kinds of transitions. So a human being, for instance, undergoes a transition from being a child to being an adult, but it's the same human being. And similarly, it's the same block and it's the same bore.
Good.
Very good.